because they wouldn't have been expecting us at this time. Being a Friday, though, I hope they're there. Hi, everybody. Oops, we are live. Hi, Susan. Welcome to the
Hello.
show. Hi,
Thank
everybody
you.
else who is probably watching
Hello.
us and giving up on us. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I don't even know. What song do you know about Happy New Year, Susan? Hmm? I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. This has been last year, 2024 was really something, wasn't it, guys? Hey, how we survived it, only God knows, you know? And all we can say is that for those of us who lost people like me, who lost my dad, well, that was a hard year. It was a hard, for us, that was the hardest year in history in our family. And I think it was the hardest year for very many people. On the political front, it was a very tough year. Most countries, people are having some political upheavals everywhere, and that doesn't. As Kenya is not spared. We had protest marches. We lost a lot of lives. A lot of young Gen Zs lost their lives, and apart from Gen Zs, a lot of people were, abducted, kidnapped. There was horrible things happening in 2024. We're praying that, well, we all still have, a situation where we have people being abducted and missing, and parents crying in court, and there's so many tragedies going on around us. We are surrounded by a very, very precarious situation all over the world. I know that, for example, what is trending is, for example, in the US, I'm seeing that there's this fog that has dust, some sort of white dust. It's unique, and people don't trust it. They say that it comes with a strange smell. It seems to be man made. It seems not to be natural. But of course, we can't be sure about that. But it appears to be something that people are not familiar with, and it's making people very nervous. Again, we had 4 plane crashes within like the New Year period. Yeah, in so many countries, and it's so frightening to imagine. In South Korea, there was, and all of them apparently were crashing on landing. And this is a time, the reason why we have not been online for a long time, you guys, and I'm still waiting for people to join us. And when you do, you're welcome. And those of you who are going to watch later, you're also welcome too. But for the sake of those people who watch later, let me just continue. But this was a time when a lot of family members were coming back to Africa, going back to the southern hemisphere where it's warmer, including the birds, by the way. Animals also migrate. But people, so many family members, and it became a situation where even our living rooms had people. So even if I wanted to even do videos with you guys, it was impossible because we had people everywhere. Yeah, and it was impossible to set up when people are sleeping, or if not that, then maybe you're out at night and having a great time, having a good time, and then you realize, oh my goodness, the time for the show is now. But who are you going to tell that to? Your visitors? What are you going to do? So I remember setting up the show so many times and failing, you guys. So I'm so sorry about December that we weren't there, but we're back in the new year. That person who has joined us, you're very welcome. And yeah, Susan, how was your Christmas celebration? How was your holiday celebration in December? How did it go?
It was great. I met my grandson, my first grandson. We were really excited. We had a lot of family activities. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Hmm.
were really excited about that. Yeah, and we share a birthday. It was born on the
Yeah.
same
Just
day as
imagine
well.
how many of you share the same birthday in the same family. That is weird. Is that what's called
Four,
serendipity?
four. Yeah,
Congratulations on your new baby grandchild. Talking
yes.
about babies, yeah? This is the topic of today. We're talking about the trends of last year and what people were talking about. There's this trend, there's actually a revolution. Are you guys aware about the child free revolution? Are you aware about that? Where women, especially, are saying that they don't want to have babies anymore. That they feel that the babies restrict their freedom, that they don't believe that men deserve to have them carry children, and disfigure their bodies. They consider that kind of some sort of disfigurement. Again, there's also the problem of issues that were cited were things to do with lack of support for childcare, expensive childcare, expensive, maternity care, inadequate health support for mothers who are pregnant, men who are, or fathers who are not reliable in terms of fathering, in terms of being there, parenting for the length of time that the child is going to be needing a parent. And also, some women just don't want to be saddled with what they call traditional roles of having babies. So this is a new trend, and that was pretty prominent around December. But what was amazing, though, was that with that trend also came, I could say an evaluation of the trend that was prior to that, which was about not coupling, staying single, yeah, single and not ready to mingle. But Christmas is here, holidays are here, everybody's mingling, and you're alone. So there was also videos of people trending, and they were showing how they were trying to deal with the alone time. Some of them, especially the ones that were actually I was watching on TikTok, many women were complaining. Actually, not really complaining, but reevaluating their decisions about whether or not they really wanted to remain single, based on their experience during the holidays where they found themselves just with maybe a pet and nobody else to hang out with. I don't know. Susan, have you seen that trend? Are you aware
I
about
just
this trend of being child free, being partner free? No
Yeah,
sex with
it's
men, no,
no, it's
no
a
sex
very
with men, no marrying men, no. Susan, tell me.
yeah. I think it's I just wanted to add a few more reasons, and perhaps not as common as the
Oh,
ones you gave,
yeah. Okay.
for people opting not to have children. That is, one of them is fear of hereditary diseases. Sometimes there's a disease in the family, and maybe their experience with it, there's fear of it being passed to the next generation. And then the other one is poor experience as children, maybe neglect of maternal or paternal neglect as children. And the other one is affecting or disruption of career paths, particularly of women. They have a path that they want to follow. There's something they want to achieve, the ladies, and they don't want it to be disrupted. Having children will interfere with that. Um, and I know many years ago, in the Scandinavian countries, they had to start. They started paying women to stay home and have children, because the women were saying, when we take that break away from our career paths, we're away from work, and then you have to literally start from, a much lower standard when you return back to work. So, so as to, and then of course the issue was about finances, not having enough money. So there's a need for, like, the both parents to work. So that would affect the economic status or financial situation at home. So the women would have to continue working. But I think some of these countries started to pay the women to have children and stay home, because there was a negative growth. I know among the Gen Zs, there's, it's been trending here in Kenya.
Hmm.
I heard actually a minister talking about it, that the Gen Zs fear certain things, and one of them is getting pregnant. So the Gen Zs really don't want to have children, because of, maybe they feel the the stress, the added responsibility that will limit their social activities, and maybe their ability to travel, or just do things in a very carefree manner. Um, there are, I think, what we can say is, it's very subjective. There are some very good reasons, and then there's some which appear to the observer as being more frivolous than or very sort of selfish. Let me take that word back. Not
Yeah.
frivolous, more like selfish, more about the
Hmm.
person, But
Mhm.
some are really good reasons that people have. But the younger generation, certainly, it is an issue even among the Kenyan youth. Like I
Mhm.
just told you about the Gen Z. So it's a
Yeah.
discussion that we should have.
It's a discussion that we should be having because, like, for example, in Kenya, we have negative growth in terms of, population growth. We're actually in negative. We're going backwards. Kenya. Kenya was one of the first to adopt family planning and all that kind of thing. And therefore, we've achieved it so well that we're now in negative growth. In fact, it's quite rare, sorry to say, it's rare these days to see people with babies. It's rare to see babies around. Whereas, we always used to see a woman, with a baby and another young one and another one holding onto her skirt. Nowadays, you just see maybe a woman with a baby or none. You see a couple and they don't have children. It's quite true.
I think some of the things is that it's also the lifestyle is quite stressful. It's become really stressful, and perhaps the that's also affecting, say, fertility rates. So some of the when it comes to fertility, we can't really say that they don't want to have children. It's just that perhaps the issue of childlessness is caused by other factors rather uh, than a choice not to have children. But like you said, it's certainly something that is worth discussing, and with frankly, because it's important that the population continues
Yeah.
to grow, because we could end up with if people refuse to have children, then we could end up with an aged population. I think in Europe that's what we have, isn't it? We have
That's
the
what we have
average
in
age
Europe
is
and in the West. It's true. And
yeah,
what is interesting is that some of the
Mhm.
icons out there, like Elon Musk, has 12 children. Yeah. And now the argument is on two sides. Like, why does he have 12 children? And why do these people who are really rich have so many kids? And then why do they try to restrict people from the South, especially, from having children? To family plan. They call it family planning or family spacing, but really what they're trying to do is reduce the number of children that are born. And the thing is, the question is why. And some people, the theories are out there. The conspiracy, can I say the conspiracy theories or the unproven theories, are that
Yeah,
the idea is that the rich want to be an example. They want to kind of manipulate the poor by having many children to show poor people that they should also have children. And the idea is that those poor people, the children of the poor, will be the ones to maintain the economic, you know, the economic situation of the rich. You know what I mean?
the
It actually
blue
maintains
the
their wealth.
uh,
Yeah. So there'll be
the
cheap
blue
labor
collar job.
when they grow up.
Yeah,
Yes, there'll be
yeah.
cheap labor. Whether they're blue
Mm-hmm.
collar or white collar, they'll be underpaid. And so they'll grow up and they will be, the social security of the wealthy. But on the other hand, if you really look at what's happening, you also see that wealthy countries are taking from the poorer countries those same young people. They want that energy into their countries, to actually work, to actually promote their economies. It's more about, ensuring that they're up there and the rest of the countries. So it's not necessarily about just, individual wealthy people. But on the other hand, we also have a very high unemployment rate, very, very high unemployment rate. So they're saying, like,
Mm.
for example, amongst men, like we can say that like women are very highly employed compared to men. A lot of men are becoming more and more unemployed compared to women, even in Western countries. And I
Mm.
think it's almost the same here. For most people, many companies are actually downsizing or they're closing shop completely. And therefore, it's affecting the employment rate. So that will also impact on people's security in terms of their decision to actually have children. If you look at the West, you see the cost of living is so high. And even in Kenya and even in down south here, the cost of living is rising every single day. Right now, you can see that the children are not, in Kenya, for example, the schools reopening date has been moved. And so it's good. Their children are going to be opening schools later and closing earlier because it's a cost to the government to keep them in schools. And what that does is that they shift the cost to the parent, who then has to organize, how to keep their children busy and secure while they also pursue jobs. which are not even available out there. So anyway, yeah, this is the situation. But really, I was actually approaching this whole issue in terms of not so much in terms of the economy, but in terms of the quality of people's lives without children. You know, when they choose these lives, when they say that I'm going to be child free, why use the term child free, for example? Isn't that, you know, kind of like stating that people who have children are child what? Child what? Jailed? What is that? Child not free, child bound. Is
Yes,
that the right word? Yeah. So those
it's
of us who have
fettered.
kids are child
Mm.
bound, and those people who choose not to have kids are child free. Are you sure those are correct terminology? And who's pushing this agenda? Oh, Louis is here. Ha ha. Hello, Louis. Let's see what you have to say today. Louis says, my dad only had a middle school education, sixth grade, was able to raise a total of six children, including me, and was able to purchase a home. So true. So true. Yep. On a minimum wage salary. Actually, Louis, that is a situation with us as well in Africa. Our parents, you know, many parents were, you know, working, you know, menial jobs. Some of them were just working farm hands. And you'll hear that they have six kids and they were all fed and educated and eventually became, you know, employed and are supporting their parents. Some of them have even traveled and left. But now, even on a two-parent salary, you can hardly afford the basic things like the rent. That's really true, Louis. That's really true. And Happy New Year. And that's well, it's kind of like a oxymoron to say Happy New Year when I'm discussing such a thing. But anyway, Susan, I've hogged the mic for too long. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think when you say Happy New Year, I think it comes with the idea of hope that 2025 will be different from 2024. If you're a little disappointed in 2024, then 2025 you will have, there's that hope, and that's why we say Happy New Year, is just to be really optimistic about what's coming, and to make people quite excited about the days to come in 2025. So I think that's why they have that word happy before. I was just thinking about, although we moved on from that subject, you talked about the economy, and I was just remembering how we are exporting labor as Kenyans. We're exporting labor. People are going to work in other countries. Um, and like you were talking about the type of jobs they're getting, most of them are not getting uh, high paying jobs. They're getting the blue collar jobs, working in people's homes and stuff like that. So it's something of great concern when we find our young people are now moving in that direction. And perhaps these are some of the stressors that are making people make decisions that they're not ready to have families. And possibly we'll also see that affecting how early people decide to get married, also in the country, because they want to be able to have stabilized a few things. The other thing, I think, just when you talk to young people, um, the millennials and maybe the Gen Zs, they're generally speaking, they appear not to be so happy about the uh, the traditional gender roles. For instance, during the Christmas season, we find that the women are doing certain work and the men are doing certain work. And in most homes, I think um, the women were doing all the work and the men were literally just sitting around having fun and talking during the family gatherings or whatever it is. And the women were in the kitchen cooking. They're the ones who planned. They're the ones who did A, B, C, D. And I think for the young ladies in particular, they find that something to frown about. They would like to see the males and females being treated the same, uh, and so they feel that a lot of responsibility is on them. So even when it comes to having children, they're looking at um, the fact that they will not be able to do the things they would like to do, and they would not want to perhaps bring a child into the world, and then be left to take care literally of the child on their own. Um, yeah, and women are really aiming high in terms of jobs, and we know they can be very, very, very demanding. um, the hours of work, the travel requirements, and they're looking at they're trying to break the glass ceiling. We have a few women who are doing that, and it'd be interesting to hear how these women who are at that level are coping with their family lives, with raising their children, being wives or intimate partners, or even single parents, and then raising the children. Because our discussion today really is about uh, this group of people who have decided to not to have children, this child free revolution. And it's unfortunate, as you mentioned, Maureen, the term child free revolution seems to be mocking those among those families, those who have not been able to birth their own biological children. Um, and it's really, I think, an unfortunate phrase, because they are choosing not to. But like I said earlier, some reasons are good, and some are very are selfish. Yeah, and perhaps the male population may see it as maybe extreme. It is actually an offshoot of feminism, but in its more like extreme form. uh in its more extreme form, I think. That's just my view. You're muted.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. It's kind of like feminism in its extreme form, but who's promoting it? Who's promoting this quote unquote feministic viewpoint that women should stay child free? Could it also be those people who want to see a population decline generally, and maybe riding on the back of the feminism, what people think is feminism, or the feminist agenda, to try to appeal to younger people and make it look like it came from them, like it's good for them, like it came from them. Because I remember when, for many of us Africans who have worked, and I had friends who used to work in the healthcare sector, maybe as what they call certified nursing assistants in the US when
yeah,
we were in school. I was in uni, and I know many of my friends who never went to uni, or who went to uni, were supporting their education by working these jobs. And some of them would come back to us with learning things that they were learning from the elderly in the nursing homes.
yeah,
And I, for myself, I didn't work those jobs, but I did go to church. I used to attend a church with what I used to call my host mom. I used to have host parents, American host parents, and I attended church with them. And there was a pair of sisters, elderly sisters, American sisters, American white sisters, and they were teachers in their day, and they never married because they were not allowed to get married if you're a teacher. And that was their greatest regret. They used to tell us that their greatest regret was not having any kids. They were in their
yeah,
70s then. Yeah, that was their greatest regret. And talking to some of my friends who are working as CNAs, etc., or nurses in, with the elderly, they were also saying that a lot of elderly people were telling them to have children, have kids. So it's like we're going backwards. We're turning things around we're going the wrong direction. Yeah. So the elderly people would
yeah,
say, I regret, number one, not having enough children, not spending enough time with my kids. Actually, many of them even had the opportunity to have kids. Many of
yeah.
them did not have
And
kids. So they grow old and
mhm,
alone with nobody else. So when they watch let's say, for example, other elderly people being visited by their kids, they feel some sort of way about it. It
yeah,
reminds them that they made that choice, or that they were not able to make a choice to have kids. So I think that
yeah,
by the time that young people, what I would say for young people is, it's okay to follow trends, but in the end, like Susan said, it makes sense if it be more subjective. That means let it come from you, and not because other people are saying don't have children. Yeah, let it come from you. And again, the other thing is that there are stories also being told right now that's countering the argument that people are saying, there's women who are saying, when I had my first child, when I had my first child, I was staying in my mother's house, or we were poor students. We were poor students renting like a little room, or a bed sit. and we had a baby. And then when we had the second child, we moved into a one-bedroom apartment. When we had our third child, we now had a house. Okay, so what they're trying to say is that getting wealthy or getting property is also a progressive thing. It's not something
mm,
that you expect to have with your first child. Sometimes when you have children, they can also motivate you to do better and to improve on your finances, on your family finances. And you know, like in Africa, we have that saying that every child comes with his or her own plate. It's a traditional saying all over Africa that the more children that you have, the wealthier you are, because literally a lot of families who had a lot of children, they got motivated to have more property, more land. They were farming larger tracts of land, or they would get more land, or they would have the desire to accumulate more and more and more because you have more mouths to feed. And it's really, I think it's really quite true. You see a lot of families, when they get bigger, they actually also get more wealthy. Nobody talks about that, but it's a fact. Look at China, for example. It's a very good example. Like China has how many billion people? Yeah, and it's one of the most wealthy countries in the world. It should be the poorest then, because they had a very high birth rate, didn't they? Or there are too many people in their society, quote unquote. Yeah.
mm.
So look at India, the same thing, wealthy country. So sometimes, we are being sold lies. These are complete lies. It's not true that, having no children is going to make you wealthier or happier. No, I don't think so. Because also children in themselves are a source of happiness. They are a source. So many people are talking about parenting their pets. Now they're parenting pets. They're parenting cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Not a bad
Monkeys even,
idea, but yeah, there are
and
people who
dressing
have
them.
actually admitted to actually transferring parental energy onto animals, onto pets, like me and my monkey here called Abunwasi. You guys, I need to introduce you to my lovely monkey here, who I adopted. He's actually wild, and he just came to say goodnight, and today he tried to talk. He said, and I gave him some nuts. I love my Abu Nasi. If I can find his picture, I'll put it up. Hmm? But what I'm saying is, good enough. We all have pets. But what happens then if you have children and you have pets? What about those people who have children and pets and livestock? Yeah, how about them? They're able to
They're all
transfer
their
all.
children.
Those are different kinds of love. And then
Yeah.
the other thing is you have to remember that your pet has a certain lifespan. Unless you're lucky to have a tortoise, yeah, most of your pets are going to be gone within 10 to 15 years. But your
Or
child
shorter.
will hopefully
Mm.
outlive you. Hopefully, God willing, or they will live at least much longer. So you have a much longer period with your child. You have to think about that because a lot of people also grieve when their pets go, when their pets finally die after 10,
Oh
15
yeah.
years. They're gone. And
Oh
it's a
yeah.
very
Mm.
painful thing when your pet goes.
Mm.
Very painful. But guess what?
Yeah.
By the time your pet is 15, your child can have like 4, 5 pets, 6 pets in their lifetime. They can live a long life, and you yourself can also live a very long life. I've had to say goodbye to pets that I absolutely adored. Many times, how
Mm.
many times have you said goodbye to your dogs when they have to be put down? You can't transfer that kind of parental energy to animals. We can't. Yeah, unless it's a tortoise, like I said, or an elephant. And then in that
Yeah.
case, they're not really pets anymore, are they?
Yeah. I was just remembering. I was watching. I was just scrolling through the YouTube channels, and I saw this. In China, um, these ladies regretting not marrying and not having children, and now they were older and they wanted to get married and they wanted to have children. So the issue of will you regret it, whether it's really well thought out, because these ladies are they were gripped by the ideology of the time that we should not have children, we focus on our career and we should not marry and stuff like that. So they were gripped by that. And then later on in life, they realized that there's something missing. They might be successful women in their different careers, but they didn't marry and they don't have children. So, and maybe it's too late to, in particular, have your biological children. They can adopt, but not have this. So that issue of regret is how well have they thought about this, and and to what extent, the as Maury Queen Mo was saying, ideological capture. We need to be really, really careful about it, because it can really make you look back on your life and really regret making a decision, which for instance, this one where you decide to be childless and realize later on in life that you would really have loved to have had your own biological child. And um, and of course, we're not talking about those who, for whatever reason, are not able to have children. We're talking about those who make a deliberate choice not to have children, and also those who choose not to marry. And by the way, another reason why people don't have children by choice is, depending on your faith, uh, like the Christian faith, or where there are strict rules, about, in what context you should have children. So if you're not married, then you'll find them not also choosing not to have children. So that's another area where a choice is deliberately made. But you'll find that a lot of these people who make those choices based on faith, they're surrounded by other young people who look to them, who they mentor, and who look to them as like mothers. So it's not that they're not their biological children, but they're mentoring children. So they're surrounded by children, and yeah, so their lives are quite fulfilled just by even caring for all those children. They're great aunts and grandmothers and all that to many children. So
Yeah.
it's the idea. We need to be careful, and let's think carefully about what our young people are exposing themselves to. And I think, like I was mentioning, some of the triggers, especially for the young ladies, is that division of labor, the different treatment of males and females in the home, in the workplace. And the
Mhm.
women feel it, especially, they feel that misogyny, they feel that patriarchal behavior, and it makes them sort of rebel. So they and because they rebel, and for instance they say, oh, they're unlikely to find a partner, a male partner. So they'll completely say, okay, I don't want children because I'm not likely to find a male partner,
Mhm.
because all males are going to expect this type of treatment, and I'm not willing to give it. And that's really a societal problem, and one that needs to be addressed. um, you know I saw that a lot. I'm sure, if for those of you who are following, all the parties or whatever functions you went, the family gatherings you went to, and the young ladies were free enough to talk to you. I'm sure you received complaints about why is it that you're telling the ladies to go and wash the dishes or pick up the plates or go and serve people, and the guys are just sitting. Your cousins and brothers are just sitting around doing, just eating and expecting to be served. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are
Mhm.
issues, and I think they need to be addressed quite seriously.
Yeah, it's something to do with the way we bring up our kids. We should just bring them up. Like my son was here for Christmas from the US, and he was like, doing everything. He does everything, and he grew up doing everything, and there was no shame. I think it also depends on how you're brought up, because I was also brought up by a father who used to stand in the car in front of his old car and say, "Any one of you who want to come and learn how to change the oil, come and learn." That's just the attitude. And he himself was also brought up by a mother, my grandmother, who made all the children cook. Everybody cooked. So there was no division of labor based on your gender. Yeah, because when you need
Ye-
to eat, you need to eat. And I trained my son to cook, because I said, one day, I don't want your girlfriend one day to say, um, I am not going to cook for you, so you're not going to eat. So then you end up going to McDonald's, No, the idea is tell him, okay, if you're not going to cook for me, no problem, I'll cook for you, or I'll cook for all of us. So I don't see any reason why, there should be division of labor based on gender. And I wasn't brought up that way. And I think there's some things that we should get rid of. We should
Yeah.
actually just stop. There's some cultural
Yeah.
things that we should just stop and encourage young men to also eat. You see, because again, cooking is a skill, it's a life
Yeah.
skill. It
Yeah.
helps you to eat well. You know that if you can cook as a male or as a girl as well, because there are many girls who are refusing to cook. And by the way, they're also going to affect their health if they don't learn how to cook. They'll affect both their health and their pockets. It's important to learn to cook because I also know women who don't know how to cook in their 60s and they're still eating out of pizza boxes, still eating ready-made meals, and they're full of a lot of salt, sugars, preservatives, things which are not good for our bodies. So it's actually just a life skill. And it's also kind of like gardening. We should all learn how to garden. I never learned how to garden, by the way, believe it or not. But I'm trying to learn. I'm teaching myself, and the first thing I do is collect seeds and stare at them and hope that's one day I'm going to find a pot. Okay, I got a pot the other day. I'm very big on collecting seeds and giving them to someone else to plant. Okay. But now I want to collect seeds and actually, I bought a pot. Now, the next thing I need to do is go buy the proper soil. Because I'm learning how to mix soil. I don't know, you need to use ash. In Kenya, there are very many videos that you can watch about how to, create your own kitchen garden, your own kitchen garden, etc. But I'm kind of veering off the topic. What I'm saying is, when it comes to cooking and cleaning, those are life skills. Everybody should learn
Yeah.
how to do that. Grooming,
Hmm.
it's all part of life. It's nothing to do with gender. Cleaning, changing the oil in a car, those are also life skills. Everybody should learn how
Yeah.
to do that, women or men. I constantly, with my old car, I'm always pulling up my bonnet, trying to figure out, what's wrong here. What do I need to change? And people are looking at me like, you, why you? I'm like, I'm comfortable because dad showed me it was fine. Yeah, quite comfortable with it. We should all be comfortable doing all jobs. But now going back to the issue of having babies and having babies at the right time, not waiting until you're so much older and then trying to go and do IVF because you waited. Because you waited, not because you couldn't, but because you waited too long. I'm actually, I can also say that I am a victim of that to some extent because I had my child young as a single mom and then I got married much later. You see? Because what happens is that if you happen to be a single mother, you go through some sort of trauma very early. Or if you happen to get divorced early, you go through some sort of trauma. And if you get divorced with only one child, it can become very difficult for you to go back and have more children. And one day in future, you might look back and say, my goodness, all of this and only one child? How? You start looking at your child and you feel sorry for them because they don't have any other sibling. You grew up with siblings, your children don't have siblings. I know, Susan, you don't have that to worry about. But some of us with only one kid, you worry about them having siblings. So what happens? You adopt everybody else's child and they become your kid. Yeah. And that's what I did. I opened up my
Which is
home and all the
okay.
kids are, yeah, yeah. So he has friends. But what I'm saying is that there are many children, though, who grew up with single parents who don't also have this attitude of allowing their children to interact with other kids. Because, I mean, are you
Yeah.
thinking about that child's future? Are you thinking about your mortality? One day you will go and you will leave your
Yeah.
child without friends, without learning how to make friends. We're talking
Yeah.
about latchkey kids with Susan today. And these are some of the
Yeah.
traumatic reasons why many people decide not to have children is because of the traumatic childhood that they had, that they
Yeah.
experienced as children. They don't want to subject other children, their own kids, to that, to a house which doesn't have a parent waiting for them, that the fact that they have to open their own door, make their own meal, find a lonely home, be responsible for their siblings with no adult present. Yeah, these are the kinds of, but like I remember when I was raising my child and traveling a lot because I had a job that made me travel a lot. I remember my father, who was also, a traveler. He told me I used to just leave the child and leave him with his minder and go. And one day he said, you know what? You can't raise a child by remote control. Child rearing is a sacrifice. I was like, whoa, excuse me. Yes, dad, and he
Mm.
was a fantastic grandpa. He was just being protective of his grandchild. He was
Mm.
seeing me traveling too much and saying, who is raising your child? Yeah, you can't raise your child by remote control. And it's really true. You cannot raise your child. We say that we want to work how? You want to work like remotely. You can't raise your child remotely. I'm sorry. You have to be there as a parent. Yeah. And maybe this is
Yeah,
what's making people become child free, okay, or choose not to have kids. But in the end, it's not necessarily the only. I would just say that, make a decision based on your own, make a decision, let it be your own subjective decision, not a decision based on other people, because you can do it.
ideology. Yeah,
can you
yeah,
can parent,
yeah,
and you don't have to. There's no manual that comes with children. Each child comes with their own DNA, and you get to learn
yeah.
them and you get to know them. Yeah. And raising
And
kids is one of the most fulfilling things, especially if you're able to do that alongside your career. It's one of the best, most fulfilling things you can do. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, don't you
certainly.
think, Susan? I mean, with all the struggles we've been through raising our kids,
Yeah,
it was.
yeah, certainly, it's a very rewarding thing, and for both the mother and the father, and it's a great thing to do, and like Queen Mo is saying, you know, that regret after not being able to do something which just because of the timing and stuff like that, it needs you to really think hard. uh, let's be careful about the ideologies that we follow. Let's examine them really, really strictly, and let it not be a response to something. The problem with reacting to situations is that you're reacting, so it's not a very is a very emotional response to a situation. For instance, I know we're going to also talk about people who are unpartnered, the ones who don't want relationships at all, and and we know that these are actually as a result of societal experiences and stuff like that, choosing not to have a partner because it's somehow you feel that as a woman in particular, you're not going to receive the right treatment. There's bias against you, that you've observed relationships and seen they are not going well, and you don't like the result, or you don't like the way, if you're a woman, how the woman is treated, or if you're a man, how the man is treated in the relationships you've been observing. And we need to be really careful, because in relationships are really what you make of them. um, so you can't observe other people's poor decisions and decide that that is actually the way it's supposed to be. That's the way a marriage is supposed to be, or the way a relationship is supposed to be. So again, young people, actually you can get married at any age. So as long as you have the legal, capacity
Yeah.
to do so, you can actually get married at any age. um, so let's be careful about why we choose not to get married or not to have a relationship. You know, let it not be ideological, because we know again there are some movements which are promoting people being unpartnered. There was the 4B movement of South Korea, which started there, lost traction in South Korea, but was taken up and embraced in the US. Uh, um, but these are things we really need to think about, because even when as parents, let's talk to our children about some of these things. We may have poor experiences um, around us of failed marriages or relationships, but that doesn't mean that your relationship will fail, because we still have success stories all around us. They're celebrated all around us, so we have those success stories. So let's not give up on marriage. Let's not give up on relationships. They're important. And in fact, the statistics I was looking at
Mhm.
was that actually men are the ones who look forward to being married more than women nowadays. So some statistics I was looking at when I was looking at some research about Child Free. and saying the men would like to have children. There was a higher percentage of men actually wanted to have the children. Um, so things are turning around, and we need to observe that we're finding men actually who want the when we're talking about stereotypes, we need to be careful, because some of these things really mess up our understanding of the what the reality is. Because you can see that at least those statistics, when you do your research on the child free movements, and it even shows you the statistics, and it says the percentage of men who want to have children is higher, is quite high. There's more men who want to have children than the women do. And before we'd have said it was women who want to have children more than the men do. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true,
you were reading
Susan.
something, Queen Mo?
No, no, no. I was just
Queen Mo?
answering. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hi, Susan.
Yes.
You're stalled. Your video is stalled. Your
Okay.
video has hang.
Okay.
Can you
Sorry.
hear me? I
Yes, I
think it's your
can.
video
I
that
can.
has hang, yeah, but I think it will come up back on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That all of us, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have skeletons in their closet. Yeah. Everybody has a bad story. Most people, let's say 99% of people have had their hearts broken by their first love, whether they knew that they were the first love or not, even if it's your first intuition, no, your first crush. Yeah, most people have had their hearts broken at some point in their lives, and in some cases in a very bad way. Sometimes even after marriage, you get married, and you find that your partner and you are not on the same page, and in fact the person even turns around and is a totally different person than you married. And then you're forced to make a decision to leave. I think I'm going to remove Susan so that Susan comes back on again, and this time, hopefully she'll be let me Susan, let me kick you out of the studio and then ask you to come back again, okay? No, I'm not kicking you out. I'm just going to remove you and then ask you to come back. Uh, yeah. Okay, good. Add to the stage. Let's see if I can add her back. Yeah. So, guys, when it comes to relationships, the issue is that I think what I remember when it comes to relationships, I was one of those people who really, when I was very, very young, had very idealistic views about what a good relationship should be. Just watching my parents and assuming that they had a fabulous relationship. And that's what I wanted. It's based on what you see, right? What they allow you to see. Of course, there's no relationship that's perfect, but what they allowed me to see, it looked very good. Yeah, to me, it looked good. And I'm hoping that Susan is gonna come back on stage. Yeah, it looked good, and I wanted it. I wanted it. And so when I was very young, I used to look forward to it. I used to play as children. You play house. You start pretending you're getting married. You're a little girl. You pretend you're
Yeah.
getting married. You start cooking, doing
Yes.
crazy things. You know. And so when I grew up, by the age of 19, I think I was ready for marriage. But my parents were not ready for me to be ready for marriage. No way. They had plans. They had plans for my life. Susan, why are you not on stage? Why are you not showing up? Hmm?
I can see you. Can you hear me?
You can see me, but I can't see you. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Can you hear
Uh,
me?
I can hear you perfectly, but I can't see you.
I
You
can
might
see
want to get on.
myself.
You can see
I can
yourself,
see
then that's
myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see. Does everybody see Susan or not? Somebody's saying Happy New Year, Ijeoma. Hi, Ijeoma. Wow, it's been a long time. Oh my God. Ogbonaya. Ijeoma. Oh my God. These are my old friends. They know me from long ago. So, Ijeoma, if I lie, you just know, yeah? You can tell everybody that I'm lying. Yeah? Yeah. Say hi to your whole family. Oh my God, these are my family in the US. These are my friends from the US from years ago when I was a single mom. And they know me. They knew me then, and they know me. And now, Ijoma, I let you know, I finally got married. Yeah, I finally found the guy. Finally. And by the way, guys, it's never ever too late. It's never ever too late. Never, never, never too late. You can always, find a partner, like Susan said, at any age. And don't be dismissive. Don't be dismissive, because I remember, like I was telling Susan, that in fact, it was my father who helped me to get my self esteem back. Yeah. Because he challenged me when I had given up in my 40s. He challenged me and he said, "Hey, what's happening here? What's happening? Why are you still single?" I said, "Well, because he knew that I didn't want that. I wasn't like, other members of the family that I would have wanted to be single." So he knew that I wanted to be married. And so he asked me, "Why are you single?" And I said to him, "It's because men do the choosing, not the women." And he was pretty offended by that, because he probably thought that he had a very beautiful daughter who he was quite disgusted by my useless self-esteem. He was so disgusted. He was like, "Oh my God, that's just because you don't make it a priority." So you have to make it a priority. If you want to find a partner, it has to be priority. It cannot be that your career is priority over looking for a partner, or over being partnered, or anything else is priority. It has to be priority alongside it, because it's a different kind of love. There's a love that you have for your kids, there's a love you have for your job, and then there's a love you have for yourself, and there's a love you have for your partner. And we have enough space in our hearts to accommodate all kinds of love, different types of love. Isn't that true, Susan?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Can you see me
yeah.
now?
We can accommodate all kinds of love.
Can
I
you
don't
see
know
me
what's
now?
happening. I know.
Can you see me?
Well, not really.
You
I
can't.
can see you. I can only see you here, but I can't see you up there because you're using your phone. I don't know.
You
Maybe you
can't
have
see.
to log off. Can you log off and come back, madame? Mademoiselle?
Okay, let
Yeah,
me
log
try.
off and come back. Yeah, log off and
Yeah.
come back. Just log off completely and come back. Yeah. Yep. That I think will work. Yeah. So, guys, you need to prioritize it if this is what you want. Like, for example, I can tell you my friend here, Ijoma. Ijoma, do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Oh, wow. Congratulations. That is beautiful. Yes. Like, what do we say? My hubby was actually here, right? And he's actually from your side of the world, Ijoma. He's from West Africa. And I tell you, we've been married now for 10 years, going 11 years. I married late, but guys, it's possible. You can get married and you can be happy. You can be in a partnership that works. It can work. And even if it didn't work before, for me, eventually it did work, Kissed a few toads and frogs before I got here. So I'm not saying that, marriage is for everybody, but I'm saying for those who would like to be partnered, it's never too late. It's never too late, but it is good to try a bit when you're a bit younger. Try it. Don't give up. Don't give up so many of your years without giving it a shot, without giving it a try. Yeah. And then again, there are ways to meet people. And those are the things that we need to be discussing. And we hope that we can get people in studio so you can come in and tell us, how did you meet? How you met? Oh, hello, Susan. Yeah, we need to talk about those questions, those things. How did you meet? How did you meet? If you ask me how I met my husband, I'll tell you. But I'm not going to tell you just, by volunteering. Yeah? You're going to have to ask me the question and I answer. Oh, there's Louis. He's asking me, Louis, you didn't even let me finish my question. Finish finish my sentence before you're asking me. How do we meet people? Louis, let me tell you what. It starts by creating space for another person, because a lot of us are on block. And I was on block for many years, very many years. My son was 21 or 22 in university. And I tell him that he's the one who jinxed me, because he used to say that if I get married before he goes to uni, he's going to quit the house and go live with his grandparents. That was how bad it was. So he jinxed me. So, how do you meet people? You can meet people in so many ways. And especially now, you can meet people in more ways than people used to use before. There's no perfect way to meet a person. Your person is available wherever you meet them. Your person, you might meet your person in church and think that your meeting was the ideal one and the only legit one. Yeah. But another person might meet their person in a bar and have an equally perfect relationship. So it's not about where you meet them, it's creating space in your heart first to meet someone. And that's the part that I think most of us have a difficult time with, actually creating that space and saying, okay, I'm going to drop the baggage. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop the baggage. I'm going to drop my bad negative attitude. I'm going to drop my fears. I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable again. Ugh, difficult place to be. Very
But
hard
when you
place to be.
say, yeah,
Mm,
just something about meeting in church. I remember some years back, the youth, there was a lot of concern because there were no weddings happening in church, and the elders or the leaders realized that these young people who were coming to church had all friend zoned each other, so they were not looking for partners among themselves, and so they had to have a conversation with them and say, look, we have all this, you're all these young people who are coming to church, but you're all friend zoned, so you have no they're not looking for marriage partners among themselves. So there was a lot of counseling that had to take place and stuff like that for them to change their attitude and view toward each other. So as Queen Mo says, I'm no expert, but for sure, um, people have met. If just listening to stories about where people meet, they meet in university, they meet at the workplace, they meet in conferences, they've met because their families socialize with each other, and you find some couples who have known each other from childhood. You
mm-hmm,
find others who have been in the same, who been in school from even before university, and they've got
yeah.
married. Um, and then you have others who have met each other in different spaces, like of course, church, in the youth
Mm-hmm,
groups, or in
mm-hmm.
activities that take place in church. And then, of course, as Queen Mo was saying, some in the disco, some so,
And then there's
some
some of us, Susan,
yeah,
like me. I met my partner online because I was deliberate. I was deliberate. I was
yeah, I
deliberate
know.
with it.
Hmm.
If you meet a person online, and that was a while back, it was 10 years ago, okay? You have to be deliberate and intentional. Yeah, intentional, because the qualities you're looking for in a person. You know the qualities, and it's not the first time that I was online, by the way. I'd been online dropped off, because of my travels, going and being very lonely in hotel rooms by myself. Then I had plenty of time, get online when I'm in between my work, get online after in the evening, and chat. And then I find all kinds of strange people online, and I didn't find my match, and sometimes you drop off and you give up and you go back and you give up and you go back. But what happens is that I met my partner online, and I tell you what, I think it was after a lot of prayer. I believe that, also the energies, we are energy. So if you are looking, the other person who is your opposite energy or your compatible energy is also going to find you. You'll be led to find each other. Yeah. Your person is looking for you, and you're also looking for them, and your worry is, what mode are you going to use to look for them? Is it going to be in a supermarket aisle? Is it going to be online, in a dating app? Is it going to be through people introducing you through introduction? Whichever way, once your spirit and your energy is open, that's where it starts. Your spirit and your energy manifests. Is that the right word? Manifests your partner, and your partner will find you. It's the most amazing. This is the time now I'm going to get spiritual, biblical, because in the Bible there's a verse. Susan, you know them. It says about the mystery of there are three mysteries that are unknown. One of them is the relationship of the ship in an ocean, a snake on what, Susan? Something to do with the ship, how the ship tides on the ocean. That relationship. There are things that are too mysterious for me that the Bible says. The way of the ship with the ocean, the way
Okay.
of something with something, and then with the way of a
Oh,
of a man and a woman. How a man and a
book
woman
book of
meet and
Solomon.
how they
Yeah,
relate. Yeah, you guys
Solomon.
look for that
Yeah,
verse. It's in there. Yeah,
Song
yeah,
of
because
Songs
these
or
they're
Song of
kind of
Solomon.
they're kind of
Mm.
spiritual and they're mysterious, and us guys are used to logic. If you operate on the logical realm, you're not going to manifest or meet your partner. You won't. If you go logically and say, I am going to um a specific, I'm going to do ABCD. I'm going to get my finances together. I'm going to buy a big house. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to get a great job, and then I'm going to get married at the age of 36 to as a man to a 26-year-old girl. And no, no, you're shooting yourself in the foot on all levels, because people get married through manifestation, through desire. Desire actually attracts. Desire actually attracts. I remember as a young child myself, I used to beg my father for a monkey, and he refused. He totally refused because he was a scientist, and he said these animals, they come with diseases. And we're in Kenya where there's plenty of monkeys. I can always trap one. And I already had identified the place when I was living in the village where we're going to build a cage and I'm going to have a nice monkey. And my dad said no. And I'll tell you what, now I have a whole family of monkeys that come. Okay. They come every other day to greet me. And Abunosi was here and we had some peanuts together. Yeah. So you manifest what you want. And I said, oh my God, I was waiting for this monkey all my life. He's here. I was waiting for my husband all my life. He's here. Yeah. I wanted children. I have, because he had. I had one, he has two. So we have three kids between us. Yeah. Naughty ones. Yeah. But anyway, we have kids. This is what I always imagined, that I'll have three kids. I have them. They're not all mine, but I have them. So, you guys, it's about manifestation. And if you decide to close off your opportunities, close off your mind to these manifestations, I'm telling you, where do people go when they pass away? Where do they go? There's a lot to life that we don't understand, and we think we understand. We don't. So if you want to meet a partner, be ready and be open, and that person will come. I'm telling you, promise you, they will come. Your energies will meet, and that person will come. And you'll know this is the person. You'll just know. So I can't give you a formula. Unfortunately, there's no formula, Louis. It's you. You are in charge. And that's what my father taught me. You are in charge of your own destiny. So if it's you to meet somebody, and you need to really be prayerful about it, because I did pray about it, because I was really damn scared. I was very, very afraid. But finally I met somebody. And it's not to say that anybody is perfect. I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. But he's really perfect for me. And it makes me happy, very happy. And I hope I make him happy too. And that's the whole idea, that you should be in servitude mode. When you meet somebody, it's not for them to exploit them or for them to exploit you. It's for you to be in servitude to them and them to be in servitude to you. So that person should also, your energies should meet, and they should be in sync. They may not be in sync, but at least they should have a conscience. Yeah. And there are many people in the world who are like that, what I'm describing. because you hear, you see, you read a lot from relationships, about people's relationships, when they talk about how happy they are. How my husband Dave is such a wonderful man. He's the best man I ever met, and he makes me happy every day. How my wife Betty, how I miss her when she passed away. I don't know what I'm going to do without my Betty. Why? Because we are made to be that way. I don't know how this is turning into a lecture series. Susan, save me from myself, please. I'm on a crazy trajectory here. Louis is going to be telling
Yeah.
me off. Let me see what Louis says. Louis is saying, when I was going to singles adults group at my church, the women only dated men outside the church. You cannot make this up. Yeah, it's true. This is the problem. In fact, when you listen to the wedding announcements in churches, you always hear, like at least in our churches here, they make wedding announcements, and you hear the bishop or the pastor saying,
But
um,
yeah,
so and so from our church, and I don't know this one from a sister church. You're like, what? It's always another church outside. In fact, it could
yeah,
even be like a Catholic church. It could even be like you're Protestant, they're Catholic, they're SDA,
yeah.
they're meeting out there because the church needs to examine itself and find and tell us why they have made it such a holy ground, so holy that people don't feel comfortable expressing a different kind of love other than agape in church. Isn't it, Susan? Agape love is
Uh,
God's love, right?
no,
So
I think
romantic
yeah,
love or love, desired love, is very rare nowadays in churches. You can't find, most people don't get married in church. Many people don't.
no,
How many
I
times did
think
I go to church and I didn't meet anyone? Even if you see somebody you like, you're like, oh my God, this is church. You can't have those kinds of feelings here.
I think there's some people who have met their spouses, or you know they have met their spouses in church, or partners in church. And but when you find that the announcement or the wedding bands are saying this church and the other church, then you'll find that it's most likely that they met in a different environment, like work, or family, friends, family gatherings, or some social gathering of some sort, but it's outside the church. But we do have people from the same church getting married, and that's where that story of friend zoning came out, because actually after that, quite there were some couples who got married later on, but not immediately, but after a lot of prayer, because they were concerned that that there was no movement in terms of the generations. So it's actually, like Queen Mo is saying, for believers, for Christians, it's really a prayer issue and patience, because you can get married at any time. um yeah but the problem with being guided by ideology to make these rules, to say that you will be unpartnered or you'll be childless, uh, is that you may end up regretting it later on, because your ideology may change. Um, so let there be good reasons for making certain decisions, and let them be subjective reasons. We're not saying there's anything wrong with saying that you don't want children, or
Yeah.
saying that you want to be a single, but
Yeah.
just be aware that if it is through ideology or belief, in ideological capture, that there's you may be very disappointed later on, and it may be too late for you to change your mind, um, maybe because you're really set in your ways. um,
Hmm.
if you've been living all your life alone, it's a bit difficult to accommodate other people into your life.
Yeah.
And if it's
Hmm.
having a child, if it's your biological clock, for ladies is, for men it continues, but for ladies, you have a biological clock and you have certain time in which to have children. Um, but I guess there are other ways to have children, like adoption and all that, or fostering.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
apparently, by the way, the biological clock applies to both genders, men and women. That's the latest research.
okay,
Yes, apparently the health of the child is also
Mm.
dependent on the health of the sperm as well as the ovum. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I've read
both.
that
It's
somewhere.
both.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
as men age, their health also is affected, just like women. So it
Yeah,
affects, yeah, even just because you can have a child, it doesn't mean it just because you can doesn't mean you should, at a certain age. So and also having children, when it comes to partnering, you can partner and not have any kids with your new
yeah,
partner. That's why if you're
yes,
beyond having children, you can find a partner who is also beyond having kids if you're
yeah,
older. And this is the thing I say to a lot of older women, because when I got married, when I was much older, I was in my 40s when I got married, by the way. Um, a lot of women, including my own women in my own family, came to me and said, "How did you meet him? Introduce me, show me how to meet someone." And I was like, "What? How do I do that? Yeah, how do I show you? How do I show you how to meet someone?" And I think the other thing is, maybe one of the things is that I'm very super wide open minded. That I opened up my boundaries beyond my country, beyond the borders of Kenya. Yeah, the world was my playground. Yes, the world, apart from North Korea, was my playground. Okay, because of King Jong-un. But basically, what I'm trying to say is you have to have an open mind, because you cannot restrict your creator to specific things that you think would work for you, because your creator who created you knows what you need. He knows you better than you even know yourself. So me, when I met a guy from another country, I was like, wow, okay, okay, you know? And I was open-minded. If you're not open-minded, then you limit your options, because you limit your options. And when you limit your options to a certain geographical spread, or like I see in some of these apps, they say no more than 100 kilometers, no more than 20 kilometers, no more than 20 miles away, because you're afraid of long distance relationships. Long distance relationship might be where you find your spouse. Yes, but you can shorten the distance. You can make it a no distance relationship. You can transform it. But one of the best things about long distance relationships is that then you cannot introduce intimacy too early in the relationship. You get to know the person. Yeah, the good thing with the LDR, call it long distance relationship, especially when you're dating, number one, you don't go out spending money on the person, going, I don't know, restaurants, I don't know where. You're chatting online. They're getting to see whether you make spelling mistakes. Yeah, they're getting to see whether you can put a sentence together. You have to be on your, for example, if you say you're going to talk like within an hour, if you're not there within an hour, they can see whether or not you are disciplined, or whether you're respectful of their time. There's so many things you can read from a person when they are not right there. It's true,
you know,
Susan.
you know what you reminded me of. It's a joke, though. This is a joke. I was um there's a conversation. This is a joke, right? It's between a not intimate partners, a male and a female, right? So the guy he would write these SMSs, which were quite, in sentences, and then the girl would respond with emojis. So eventually the guy said, "So why? I mean, can you write me a sentence? You're just responding with emojis." What she wrote back, she could spell. It was grammatically wrong. Then he understood why she was communicating in emojis.
In
So the
emojis,
moment the
because they're
letter,
not educated. Yes. You need to find somebody who's at your level, man. You need to find somebody who you can communicate with beyond emojis. Absolutely. Imagine, so she can read, but she can't write. Hmm?
it was quite a funny, it was
That's
quite a funny
hilarious. Oh my God. But it's
conversation.
true. There's so much you can learn in the way people communicate, how people communicate, when they communicate, what they communicate. That's the best thing with those dating apps, because there's some people there whose job is to come and flash body parts that you never asked to see. Oh, yeah. They do things like that. They're crazy. They think, they also say things with their mouth that immediately you go, "Deh, deh," you know, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want a person who thinks like that. Then there's another one who is maybe very insecure, and they're talking about all their failed relationships immediately that you even start chatting with them. And that's another day. Because you don't want somebody who's coming with baggage. You want somebody who has put down their baggage just like you. And they've said, okay, I have a checkered past. I haven't had a very good luck in relationships, but I'm ready to give this one a try. Because everybody is new and unique. And so, there's so many things that you don't want to have a partner who doesn't respect you as a woman. Especially, you need a man who is respectable on the other side of the divide, because it's very easy to go beyond and start asking for things that you cannot deliver and you should not be delivering, like nude pictures. And you just know that that kind of character is not. He's been asking, if he's going to ask you, he's asked 1,000 women. Yeah, he's asked so many women, and he's asking you right at the beginning of your relationship. You don't know the man, and you're showing your pictures. You don't know where they're going. They could be going for rituals. They could be going for rituals, you people. There are crazy things people are doing with people's nudes. They could
It's
also use them
blackmail.
against you on, yeah, they can use
Yeah,
them against you on the wrong platforms. Like, you
yeah.
can, let's say if you're professional, they can decide to go use them on LinkedIn. You be very, very careful. Do not share those kinds of stuff. No, don't share your intimate pictures online. And if you find people who are asking for them, just know that that's a checkered personality. Yeah. And if you're serious about meeting somebody who you want to live the rest of your life with, even if you're desperate to have intimacy, don't show it at the beginning. you know Temper it a little bit. Have a bit of, just hold on, hold your horses, as my uncle used to say. Hold your horses. He never had a horse, but he used to watch a lot of cowboy movies. I'll miss him, Uncle Frank. He was actually Grandpa Frank, but he said nobody calls him Grandpa. He's Uncle Frank for life. So even my kid used to call him Uncle Frank. So Uncle Frank used to say, "Hey, hold your horses." Yeah. So hold your horses, man. Just be respectful, and then have fun, crack jokes, talk about things, talk about life, get into the real deep things. Don't talk about hi, 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 hi. And if you're a male, a Kenyan male,
Emoji
for that
talk.
reason, emoji male, this thing of
Emoji
saying
talk.
hi, 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 sorry, that's not going to take you anywhere. Sorry. women
Uh,
women are attracted by what we hear, and men are attracted by what they see. They're visual. So the good thing again with LDRs, long distance relationship online, is because then you have time as a woman to try to, prep yourself up for the day that you're going to meet this guy. So you can go to the gym, go swimming, yeah, change your clothes, change your hairstyle, start looking good. Yeah, you have to prep up for the man. And the man can also start practicing his communication skills, learn how to type, learn how to speak, read a few books, some self help books, talk to your friends. Figure out, how am I going to keep this girl? Because the competition is real online. As you're talking, 1,000 people are talking. So quickly moving away from the platform and going into WhatsApp, or another platform, where you can at least chat. Maybe you can also, another tip is get another phone line. Don't use your original phone line. Get another phone line. Yeah. Change your name. You don't use your real names in your your online platform. Don't use your real names. No, don't. I would say don't. It's a unwritten rule. You don't use your real names on those dating sites, not at the beginning. Yeah, you can get to know them. You tell them, okay, my name was so and so. My name was Beth, but really my real name is Anne. That kind of thing. Eventually, once you get, that can trust someone. So, but online is not the only way to meet. But I also want to say that you can join a club, you can join clubs, you can join gyms, you can meet at gyms, you can meet, but you cannot meet at home. You're not going to meet with your bag of chips watching a movie, okay? Watching Sex in the City. It's not going to work. You need to get yourself out of your house and go and attend events. Yes. Go out there, go to the market, go attend events. It's a hard thing. And keep your eye, if you're looking for a partner, you have to keep your eye on the prize. Look. Don't put your head down, put your head up and look. See whose eye is meeting yours, because they're there. If they're going to manifest you, you're going to watch them, they're going to watch you. Yeah. And it's okay to make the first move sometimes as a woman. Sometimes, in a very strategic manner, you can make a first move. Because we women, we have been taught by the patriarchal society that it is wrong to express interest in a male. And I completely disagree with that. I totally, personally, I disagree with it. I've been in a relationship, a great relationship with a guy I met. But the only reason is because I had to travel and leave, and we separated because of geography, not because of hearts. And the way you can meet someone, if you're a man, you're shy to meet a girl. That's the reason why there are people called waiters and waitresses. You can write a note and tell the waiter to send that note, or to that person. Have a business card, have something ready. Be ready to if you want to manifest your person, be ready for that person. It's just like a job. Be ready for the job. Read. Yeah, understand women. Don't look like and don't start asking women what they bring to the table. Please. Never ask a woman what they bring to the table. Men, don't do that. Yeah, because that's a turn off for a woman. Yeah, just see what they bring to the table. You can see them. That's what they bring to the table. Yeah. And for a woman also, don't ask the man too much about his money and finances. Yeah. It's also a turn off. Try to get to know the person. The person is one who is important, because you can elevate the person, you can elevate each other. That's how it used to be with our parents. Although, education level matters. Yes, it matters, because you should be able to communicate with the other person. Communication is so important. And sometimes you don't want to be you want to watch and listen for clues. If you're a professional woman and you're well achieved, accomplished, and I've had a situation where, when I was dating at the beginning, where I met another professional male, and when he came to visit me, he said, "Oh, I can't afford this." I was like, "Who asked you to afford it? You were just coming to, say hi, bring a cup of tea or whatever it is. What do you mean I can't afford this?" That is already, you a defeated personality. That's a turn off. So many turn offs for women. A woman wants to see a very courageous man. A very courageous man. A man who is courageous is more important than anything else, actually. A man who knows who he is. He's courageous, but not a bully. Yeah, courageous and gentle. How do you do that? You have to figure it, guys. You just have to figure it. I can only advise the guys because I can't advise women. Men are the ones who should advise women. Isn't it, Susan? The only thing I can tell women is, manifest your person and don't give up. Because again, don't lie to yourself that you don't want to meet someone when you really do want to meet them. A lot of
Yeah,
people, the way I know is, since I got married, how many people have been asking me, even through Christmas, how to meet a person. You know? Yeah.
there's a
Don't
lot of
pretend.
loneliness.
It doesn't
There's a
help.
lot
It
of
doesn't help.
loneliness. Yeah, yeah. But just remember, even as we're listening to or sharing, how to be, how to look for a partner, the red flag behaviors, we've talked about them in previous shows, about behavior that you need to watch out for, where you could just get into problems. Of course, there are dangers of online dating, which Pino has talked about. Um, some guides to it, and also we talked about the misogynistic behavior, the people who are uh, manosphere practitioners, males who um, feel threatened by feminism. They feel threatened. They've gone through previous relationships, and they've developed a sort of negative attitude towards women and blamed the women always uh, for the relationship not working out. So these are things that we need to look out. Please look at, which we can check some of our earlier videos, and we've really picked up on some of those discussions. We've talked about gender-based violence, and we're talking about it in the context of both male and female. So looking for a partner is, like Pinmo said, um, is we're talking from me. I'm talking from not experience, but my age now and my observation and maybe my work as well. Um, so it's a job. It's something that should be taken with some seriousness, not to be done in a hurry. Um, yeah, and just let us avoid situations where we'll get misled by ideologies. The manosphere ideology again is ideological capture, which has actually ruined a lot of people's relationships with their
Mm-hmm.
spouses, with their intimate partners.
True, like what Louis
Uh,
is saying here. We
mhm,
came, we, you and who, Louis? These relationships are just for you, subjective. We came to
mhm.
the conclusion that women are more picky. Women are only choosing the top 15% of men. That's what Louis is saying. And then he said, Louis, I like Louis because he speaks truth. I like that. He says, I went outside last week to a bar restaurant and it was painful sitting by myself with groups of women and groups of friends hanging out next to me. It's painful to meet people nowadays for me. What do you say
Yeah,
about that, Susan? Thank you,
yeah,
Louis, for saying, thank you for stating what people are not stating and what we
yeah.
can see. Yeah, I
That sense of
watched. I watched
isolation.
it. Mm-hmm.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
because definitely there's a feeling of isolation. But I think
Yes.
it's really, um, you know, it's work, it's attitude, confidence, building confidence. Uh, you know, uh, with males, there's a Kiswahili term here in Kenya that we use. They say, with men is to try. You have to keep trying. You have to keep trying. You have to be bold. You have to be courageous. You have to go after what it is that is the object of your affection, and make a real effort to do it, and without fear. Um, just um, and keep trying. And once you fail the first time, you keep trying, and eventually you'll succeed. Of course, with prayer as well. If you're a believer, prayer is very
Mm-hmm.
important. But
Mm-hmm.
that sense of isolation, when you're sitting in a crowded place and you can see opportunity but you're not able to grasp it, can make
Yeah.
you feel lonely and isolated. So it
Yeah.
means that you really need to change your attitude and to be more confident and build that confidence,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that you're able
Again,
to.
I think I can understand Louis also having lived in the US, yeah,
Mhm,
myself, and understanding that this thing about what is acceptable and not acceptable to do in public, like how to show that you are interested in a member of the opposite sex in a public place like a bar or restaurant without coming across as somebody or as somebody who is what do we say, what's the right word for that, Susan? How to flirt safely, should I say, and make the other person also feel like you're flirting with them and that you're interested. I don't understand flirting. I've never understood flirting myself. I know zero about flirting. I don't know how to do it, and that's my biggest failure, because I used to see in university when I was in US girls flirting all over the place. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't even know what, when somebody was expressing interest in me, I didn't even know. I couldn't read. I can't. Even now I'm a very poor reader of faces. I'm very poor reader of especially men, because as a woman, many African women of my age group, for example, were taught not to flirt. We're not supposed to flirt with the opposite sex. They're supposed to come up to you and say that they're interested in you. That's the amount of flirting we're used to, yeah. So this flirting of winking and oh, passing eyes, what, I don't get it. So Louis, I think the most important thing is to know that those same women were probably feeling just as lonely as you were in that crowd. That's the saddest thing. So you have these lonely men and lonely women, pretending to have a really great time. I've been to bars and I've seen, and by the way, I experienced it myself. I know exactly what you're talking about. You go out, you have a good time. Like if you're not dancing, like for me, I used to go out dancing. But it gets to a point after some time you feel like sometimes you wish that you could just, be with somebody and not have to make such big effort, to get to meet them. You wish that you were just like already a couple, fast forward the relationship as quickly as possible, 5 years into it. But you have to work on it. There's no two ways, there's no shortcuts. You have to go through the fire. You have to go through the fire. You have to go through introductions all over again. It's a pain, but it's worth it eventually. So, like Susan said, don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah. Find a way to flirt safely. Try to find a way to, invite someone out. Go out. Another thing is volunteering, looking for things that you like to do. There are so many things that we like to do. Like it can even be a very unconventional way that you meet someone through like extracurricular activities that you do. Maybe you like to volunteer somewhere with the elderly, with children, with animals. So you might find somebody who's like-minded, or you just want to go and do something like go to the movies, go to the movie alone. Yeah. But look around and see who else came alone. Yeah. Watch them, see them, be kind to them. Even something like, excuse me, hi, do you mind if I buy you a drink? Boy, you don't know how women like that. They lie that they don't want it. Women, that's what women are looking for. I won't lie to you. That is exactly why Nigerian men are top of the game. Top of the game, because they cut to the chase. They go for their they go for it straight, Hey, you look beautiful today. Would you like me to kind of buy you a popcorn? Can I get you popcorn for you today? If she says no, that's fine. Learn to be rejected and just say, well, anyway, beautiful lady like you deserves whatever, whatever, whatever. Yeah. And then you might find that after the movie, this girl is looking for you. You'll be so surprised. I know that a lot of, like Susan said, in China, I saw women apologizing to men. Was it China or South Korea? One of those countries. Women were apologizing to men. Why? To their men. Why? Because they're going for Black African women. Did you see that, Susan? Chinese men are going for,
Yeah.
or is it South Korean men going for Black African women? Why are they doing that? Because they say that those Black African women want to be married. They express interest in getting married.
Mm.
But their women have decided that, they want to do career and whatever. So those women are apologizing and even paying their men. They're offering money to keep their men. I thought that was quite interesting. You guys go to TikTok and see that trend. That's another trend that's going
Mm.
on right now.
Just
Women are
very
apologizing
disturbing.
to men. Yeah,
Mm.
for that. So anyway, I think we've beaten this horse dead right now, Susan. I think it's enough for
Yeah.
tonight. So those are the
Yeah.
trends: childlessness. I mean, not childlessness. Sorry, child freeness,
Yeah.
singleness, yeah, and stuff like that. And I wanted to share with you one of the videos, but I won't do that because it's a bit late right now, Susan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we started a little bit later. But this was like an introduction to say, welcome back to our show. This is our 2025 show. We will be doing, be going back to discussing topics such as this one. And sometimes we'll be discussing politics. We took your feedback positively, where you said that, we want us to cut to the chase and get to the topic. And so we will have to be doing, I think, our political shows maybe on different days, alternate days. I don't know how we're going to work this soon, Susan.
Yeah.
But you give
Yeah.
us some feedback. We'll be happy to take any of your feedback back. Yeah. And I wish you a happy new year. Maybe this is
Yeah.
the year that you're going to actually meet your partner, or this is the year that as a woman, you're going to decide, hey, I'm going to be not child free. I'm going to be child bound, or I'm going to have an open mind to do what I want to do, because we change every year. Things change. Nothing is static. The only thing that we are guaranteed of is change. Yeah, isn't
Mm.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Watch
Susan,
out
thank you
for
very much for your
ideological
time.
capture.
Anything you want to
Mm.
say, Susan, to end?
Yeah, I'm just saying that let's in 2025 let's watch out for ideological capture. Anything that's extreme, is not good for you. Don't be
Yeah.
just don't go with the tide.
Yeah.
Let us learn to make uh decisions for ourselves and not just go with the tide. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, because it's another way of them stealing your life from you. Think about it. It's
Yeah.
another way. We can't give them another way to get to take our lives from us. No, 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 no. We are each one of us born independent. We came alone. We will go alone, and we have our paths. Each of us. We're not on a path with other people. You know, you don't have to agree with my path. This is my trajectory. It's mine. Own it. Own your life. That's the issue. Own your life. And let not anybody dictate to you what is appropriate, what is not. As long as you know that is legal and it's correct, do it. Do it. Yeah. And yeah, I am not giving anybody the chance to make decisions for me anymore. That's it. I made my decision at that time over 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And I'm glad I made that decision then. And God was good enough to manifest, to put me together with my partner, you know? Yeah. So it's possible for you too. And if you're in the wrong relationship right now with a partner, if you're in a relationship which you're not happy in, that's a topic for another day. We'll be talking about that one in future. Okay, thank you very much, guys. So we wish you a very nice weekend, and we'll see you on Monday next week again. We have our shows on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but we will also talk with Susan and see, which other days we can do our political shows or what days we can focus more on what's going on politically. Although it's not an easy subject to tackle right now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
safe and take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Happy New
Toodles from
Year.
Susan and I. Happy
Bye.
2025. Kwaherini. Bye bye. Bye, Louis. And everybody in the comment section, thank you so much. Ijema, welcome. And everybody else who did not see us here, Liz, who was here before, we wish to welcome you guys back and see you on Monday next week. Cheers. Bye bye. Toodles. Okay.